Hi there and welcome back to another episode at Station Road. Now you're either going to be relieved or possibly disappointed that today's video is quite a short one. So this is really part 2 of last week's video, which is really finishing off the hill formation which is above the twin tunnel entrances, and doing a little bit of scenic work and some further brambles and all of that type of thing. Now the reason why this video is so short is I'm not doing any footage of the actual modelling process. This is really basically covered in last week's video, and there's a link to that up in the top corner. So I think without further ado, let's just jump into what I did and how I progressed. So in order to prepare for this little bit of hill that's going to come up here, I had to do a little bit more work around here. So this is going to be sort of retaining wall. It doesn't need brickwork on this side, it only needs it on the inside. So while I was doing that, it was really a case of getting in some cobblestones and also doing the pavement around the front. The addition at this end now, of course, is some terraced houses, and this I just quickly put together. It's a Metcalf kit. I haven't done any kit bashing to this at all, so it just needs weathering and more details putting in, but it sort of fits nicely actually in here. Now on the back here we've got some rear entrance doors or gates here, and they're actually going to be covered up, so the actual hillside's going to come up from here and then sort of dip back down towards the tunnel entrances. So I'd had actually put gates in there and then realised I didn't actually need to go that far. So got a piece of paper under here, and we're just going to mark out a template for this section of hill, which I'll then cut out of some of the high density styrene, and we'll carve that into shape. So I've cut the styrene out to the shape which was from the paper template. I've just got a little bit of excess here which I'll trim back. There's a little bit of a chunk out of there, I can fill that in. So this is a 40mm thick piece of high density foam, so it's slightly higher than everything else, and I'll mark around all these edges and then start carving this into a shape. So it's probably going to come up slightly, so it'll dip down towards the walls to a high point, and then it'll drop back down towards this edge here. And then of course around here we've got to get the angle right so that the embankment here slopes up at the same angle. Right, so I've shaped all of that, sanded it down, and now I've just given it a base brown coat. So much the same as what was done on these embankments in the previous video. There will be some base scatter, static grass, and then the brambles will continue along and probably run along this edge here, and also sort of along these edges around here. But you can sort of get the general idea of how it's working now, and you've got the continuation of the embankment sort of rising up a bit here, and of course the pub and these terrace houses kind of have become nestled into the landscape a little bit. So I've now got the base scatter and also some of the static grass applied over the top of that, and now it's sort of a case of working in some brambles. So this particular area here, where there is quite a visible join, now this is where there's a separation between the upper level that lifts off, so there'll be some brambles on the upper section and on the lower section. So the theory is when this is placed back down, it'll hide that join. So while I was at it with the base scatters and static grass, it was an opportunity to also look at some land formation that I was intending to build up at the base of the retaining walls on the main line. And once again, it's just a piece of styrene that's been carved into shape, and it's yet to be fixed in, but this will also have brambles on it. And also down by the single hidden line that runs underneath the industrial scene, I've added in a little bit of land formation there as well, because I kind of felt like, what was I going to do with that area? And so there's a little bit of low retaining wall and then a bit of land formation. Once again, I've applied some static grass, and that will also have brambles added to it. So we've now got some brambles in various places now along this hill formation. So brambles running along here, a little bit towards the back here to sort of hide where those gates were, and some further bramble sort of work down here. Now I haven't fixed any of these hill formations into place yet, so they're just sort of placed here at the moment, and once they're fixed in, then I'll continue with some further scenic treatments just to embed the profile of the hill formations into the scene. So it's definitely moved on a bit, and you can now clearly see how the hill formation here has worked and how it sort of sits in relation to the main street and these buildings that sort of back on to this area. So the other area in question was a small bit of land formation by the hidden single track that runs under the industrial area, and I've added a few brambles there. There's still a lot of work to do on that little piece. I'm actually going to shave some of the grass back a bit. There's going to be more sort of soil and dirt and gravel and things like that that are going to be added into that, because not forgetting, around the perimeter of that sort of formation, of course, there'll be ballast and so forth. I'm also actually going to place a occupational foot crossing across the tracks there as well, so that will sort of line up with the end of the platforms. So all in all, I think it's coming together quite well, and really at the end of the day, all of this is sort of really the base Scenics, and then there's a lot more tweaking and fine tuning of Scenics to do on top of this base scenery. So there we have it. It's certainly starting to take shape, and it's really starting to look like an entire complete sort of modelled area. So I think possibly the next project will actually be working into the street area, where I have got some backseam buildings to construct, and then also there's the actual tarmac and street area itself to look at. There's also, as I mentioned in the video, doing some further scenic treatments to the landforms and the base scenic material that's already there. There's also the possibility that I'll look at some fly tipping, as people have thrown things away, shopping trolleys, old bikes, things like that. And then of course there's some considerable amount of detail to go into the pub area, the parking areas, and various little bits and pieces like that. So we'll leave it there for now. Certainly hope you've enjoyed today's short video, and do take care everyone, look after yourselves. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch you next time. Bye for now.